Often if we have a problem booting Windows NT when we didn't have a problem before, it's because we've changed the configuration of the registry. We may not have made a manual edit to the registry, but maybe we installed a device driver that has changed the registry, and now we can't get the system to boot. In this case, we would use a last known good configuration. Windows NT protects itself by storing what the configuration was the last time the computer was able to successfully start up and a person was able to successfully log on to use the resources of Windows NT. So we can go back to this successful configuration by watching it start up. We'll get the opportunity to press the space bar and it will tell us when to do it. And when we press the space bar, NT will then ask us if we would like to go to last known good configuration, in which case we would type the letter L and NT would revert back to the last known good configuration. This is stored in the registry for protection and for troubleshooting the boot process. We can also use a combination of the Windows NT boot disks, of which there are 3, and the Windows NT emergency repair disk to begin a repair of the Windows NT configuration. To create the Windows NT boot disks, we would run a program from a run line on a computer that has a previous installation of Windows NT. We would go to the i386 folder, and from the i386 folder we need to run the program winnt32.exe /OX. This will create the Windows NT boot disks without doing a Windows NT installation. Again, this needs to be done from a computer that has a previous installation of Windows NT. We can also use an emergency repair disk. An emergency repair disk can be created through Windows NT Tools, and it contains the setup log, system files, security files, software, and user files. The emergency repair disk cannot be used to start the computer. We would use the boot disk to boot the computer and then go into a repair installation using the emergency repair disk. Options that we can choose when we use the emergency repair disk to recover from a failed boot are inspect the registry files, inspect the startup environment, verify Windows NT system files, inspect boot sector. And errors that we could encounter at startup that would cause us to want to do this would be possibly a missing or corrupt file, NTLDR, which would be indicated by an error message, boot couldn't find NTLDR, please insert another disk. If we had ntdetect.com missing, we would get the error ntdetect version 1.0 checking hardware ntdetect failed. An ominous error which really might not be that much of a problem is Windows NT could not start because the following file is missing. And then it would say WinNT root system32 NTOS kernel. This could be a bad problem, but it could also be that we just have a floppy disk in our floppy drive that we forgot about, in which case we can just remove the floppy drive and try to restart, and a lot of times that's all it was it couldn't initialize because it was looking at the A drive instead of the hard drive. We could also get an error if we're trying to boot to DOS, that is an input-output error accessing boot sector. and it's looking for DOS, and the missing or corrupted file would be bootsec.dos when we are trying to boot to DOS. Speaking of DOS, we can fool a DOS application into being very comfortable on Windows NT, and we'll talk about how we do that in our next section.